Thanks, Pierre, and thanks for inviting us out here, Dev and everyone. So Geoff Wright, I've been with Brookfield for about 13 years. Brookfield Renewable it trades on the Toronto Stock Exchange. We've got about 500 people here in the National Capital Region, but it's truly a global business. And so we've got 45,000 megawatts of primarily clean energy technology around the world. A lot of hydropower, wind, solar, batteries, and even some investments in nuclear. So by way of kind of my interest in electricity markets, I'm an economist by training, and I love the idea of supply and demand in real time. And the thing that's interesting about electricity markets, as Dev kind of alluded to in his opening comments there, is that supply and demand have to match at every instant of the day. And so energy storage is a really exciting technology for Brookfield. We see that as the bridge between some of the, the baseload nuclear and hydros, as Deb mentioned, and the intermittent renewables. It's really that bridge between that and demand that isn't as flexible, perhaps. And so Brookfield, kind of globally, we've got about 850 megawatts of battery energy storage systems operating currently around the world. Australia, Europe, United States. Proud to talk about the two projects here in Ontario, just outside of, in the west part of Ottawa here. So very exciting for us. And we've got about 2,200 megawatts of batteries under construction. So very topical discussion for us.
Geoff, you brought up a good point. We'll touch on it a bit more later. Managing supply and demand. So anyone in the audience or online, if you want to just Google what happened in Spain like 10 days ago and the related failures in the grid, when you don't balance supply and demand well, problems happen. Some of the learnings from the likes of like the mining operations where Pierre's company is deployed. Geoff, how do you see us kind of taking that and transposing it to our larger grids with fluctuating renewables, balancing supply and demand? Okay, maybe it's not diesel, but we got natural gas filling the peaking of the electricity load, because you can't suddenly turn on nuclear. You can't suddenly turn on the hydro dam more than what it's flowing. So I think Brookfield is making some big steps there. And how do you see some of these learnings apply?
Yeah, I just take it from sort of the microgrid world where there's a problem and sort of ingenuity and collaboration solves a problem for a specific kind of remote location to kind of what we see on the macro level nationally. And so for Canada to be an energy superpower, which we have the potential to be, I think we need to take those lessons that are sort of learned on those remote sites where it is sort of a dual use kind of investment, right? And so, what we've seen in Ontario is the Ford government sort of set the signal. It said, look, electricity demand is growing. They directed the IESO to run a number of procurements. They were looking at problems that they were trying to solve. They saw energy storage as a solution to that problem. And then they turned it over to the private sector and said, go and find us the projects that are going to satisfy that demand. And so I think sort of in the same way that Pierre and his team is kind of solving a problem up north, we just take that same principle and we can do it on a much larger scale. And I think the utility scale batteries, there's 26 of them going up across Ontario, is really a testament to that same sort of level of collaboration between, as Aaron mentioned, sort of the public sector sort of setting the signal and the framework, and then the private sector sort of executing on that vision.
If you can comment on Brookfield's strategy to build off these things you're doing locally.
Sure. I mean, I think Brookfield is sort of one of those companies that, again, it's sort of Canadian, started here, but it's really global. And we play on a global stage. And I see that within our business. I'll answer a phone call from China one minute and then Australia the next and Brazil the next, and think about that. And I think it's really exciting to be part of an organization that, I work out of the National Capital Region here, but you're really touching on things all over, and you're exporting your expertise, but you're also bringing back knowledge back to the Canadian market here as well. So it's sort of a circular kind of flow. And look, I think what Aaron said is absolutely right. Like, we are doing a good job here when we take that model and do it in other countries, we can help them as well. And so I think, I'm of the view that exporting that knowledge, exporting that expertise is something that, it's good for Canada and its economy, but we're also bringing something to other countries and other consumers that's going to benefit them as well.